Hi, Mathias here. Today I have the perfect plugin for you if you're anything into like analog style virtual instruments, especially if you like to run synths through tape cassettes, or maybe if your favorite artists include Brian Eno. The new plugin here we're gonna try out today is Yum Audio's latest release called EMBER, and I really feel that you get that kind of nitty-gritty sound that you would get from a real analog synth, especially if you run it through a tape cassette or a Porta Studio. So without further ado, let's take the tour. Okay, so here we have the EMBER synth by Yum Audio. So first let's just flip through some of the factory sounds. And after that we're gonna break down the different parameters and options you have in this plugin to create the nitty-gritty 80s kind of really worn and torn synth sounds ran through some really nitty-gritty tape cassette decks. In the beginning we heard a little snippet here of the ARP preset called Excited Vibrations. Yes, let's listen to some basses. Ooh, that's on fire. Also a really beautiful key patch. Right, so that's some of the factory presets of EMBER. Now before we dive in and talk about the different features and options you have available in EMBER, let's talk about today's video sponsor, which is DISTROKID. DISTROKID makes it super easy and convenient to distribute your music to different streaming platforms like Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal, and many more. Personally, I've been using DistroKid for many years because it's such an easy platform to work with. I get my music out very quickly to the relevant streaming platforms. And you can also get your music out on social platforms like Instagram and TikTok. Another great feature which you should use with DistroKid is the hyperfollow function, which makes it possible to share your upcoming releases with all your fans with just a single URL. When you're ready to distribute your music, make sure you use my DistroKid affiliate code in the description. That way you also support my channel and you gain a discount on your first year with DistroKid. Okay, so let's continue to look at the different parameters and options we have available here in EMBER. To the left side we have the oscillators with a square wave and sawtooth and triangle. And the default preset here is set to the sawtooth. And for the square wave, we have pulse width. Nice, and we also have FM. If you want to create like bell sounds, it's gonna be great to use the FM. But let's continue with that sawtooth. And in the middle we have a filter. And I guess this is a 24 dB filter maybe. Sounds pretty steep. With resonance. And we have two different envelopes that we can attach to the cutoff. And at the bottom we have the envelopes. Then we have the circuitry, which is obviously going to introduce a kind of a tape emulation or a wear and tear to the synth sound. And by default we can see that the aging and rust is set in the middle here. We have this like XY kind of pad where we can adjust how much aging and how much rust we want to introduce in the sound. So let's begin with this in the middle and hear how it sounds. And obviously if you set aging and rust to 0%, we're going to have a very clean sound. And the more we introduce the aging and rust, we're going to have a more like destroyed kind of sound. Yeah, nice. So let's try the stability. So that's going to introduce more detuning and overall instability to the sound. This is a really worn and torn analog synth if we set it to 100%, so we have to back this off a little bit to get like a usable sound, at least in a musical context, I guess. Right, so the circuitry here with wear and stability is going to give you a lot of that kind of like tape emulation to the sound then. Or analog wear and tear. So let's try the crackle effect. You have a bunch of effects here. You can add crackle, chorus, ripple, compressor, heat, which is saturation, distortion, and echo for delays, and then space for reverb. So let's try the crackle. And now we instantly get that kind of Twin Peaks kind of vibe to the sound. At least in my ears, I kind of hear that Twin Peaks theme played in my head when I try this effect. Let's continue to the chorus. And here we also have some master effects, so we can control the overall width and the tone, which is like a brighter or darkening of the sound. And this is also XY pad. And if you're after some quick sound design for 80s type of sounds, it's really great to have all these parameters and options available instantly, just directly, instead of having to set up specific effects and stuff. So we lose like the bottom end if we turn the tuning or the tone to the top here. And we obviously get that darker sound at the bottom. Let's try ripple. So the ripple will give us this kind of like a destroyed, or if you like record multiple times on a tape cassette, and you get this kind of really destroyed kind of chopped up sound. Chopped sound. Chop. And the master effects, when we adjust these, they will control the intensity of some of these effects. So we get more like ripple, more crackles, more chorus if we activate that one. If we introduce more intensity at the master. We need some space and echo on that one too. Yes, I feel we instantly have a great sound there for creating a track. And this is what I love with some plugins, when they can instantly inspire you, like to create a track just by adjusting and fiddling with a few parameters. And yeah, let's also introduce a little bit of heat so we get more. Maybe not too much, because that's gonna really destroy the sound. compress the sound a bit. And we also have a sensitivity parameter here on the master bus, and I guess this will adjust how much the sensitivity or the velocity of your keyboard will affect the overall sound in the synth here. So with the sensitivity here at 0%, it doesn't matter how soft or hard we hit the keyboard. It's still gonna be like the same sound, but if we introduce a little bit of sensitivity, yeah, so sensitivity is great if you want to have a more organic feel to the performance or to the sound. For the echo we have the typical parameters with division, rate, and yeah, the feedback in the mixer with the XY pad. Beautiful. Right, so let's activate the Arpeggiator and see how that works. And I'm actually gonna activate a little pre-recorded clip here, so we don't have to play all the time. Sweet. In most plugins you can usually make a right click and select the Midi Learn, but I guess in this version of EMBER they haven't implemented a Midi Learn kind of function, but we can still use Bitwig's macros and Midi Learn. Right, so next up let's take a look at the drift here, and the drift will be able to control different parameters with this kind of drifting oscillator or drifting LFO. And you can see you can select these different parameters if you want this drift parameter to control other parameters than the default ones here. But yeah, let's just try a little bit of cutoff, a little bit of width, the tone, and a little bit of time, and see what happens to our original sound. Yeah, so it's really sweet here and very visual to have this like drift control where we can see the actual oscillation and make it be more like unpredictable, like a tape cassette, or really slow and yeah, slow as a snail. But yeah, generally to attach this to different parameters and have them controlled at the same time, so we don't have to do this like manually with automation or set up individual modules like you would do if you would recreate this in Bitwig Studio, for example. So all in all, I feel that this is really like powerful and quick synth to work with if you're after creating nitty-gritty and organic kind of synth sounds. Especially if you're creating like synthwave or yeah, ambient kind of music. Right, so all in all, I feel that EMBER here has a really great start for a synthwave or a 80s kind of inspired plugin. You can really get those kind of tape emulation effects that you'd hear from if you run your synth through a Porta Studio or some kind of old Tascam tape cassette recorder. And it's really great to have everything in one single plugin like this. Well, there are some things that I miss from the plugin, and that's maybe a control for different types of filters, and also that Midi Learn function. But aside from that, I feel that you have a lot of options in here to create great sounds. But I feel that you have plenty of options in EMBER here to create really worn and torn and gritty kind of sounds with a weird stability. Oh, another thing I miss here is maybe an on and off switch for the effects directly from like the effect names here or the effect buttons, because as of now we have to go in here and deactivate or activate the effects within each individual effect, but it would have been great to have just an on-off switch on the buttons here directly, or maybe that we could make a double click on the buttons to activate or deactivate them. But all in all, really great work here, Yam Audio, on the EMBER plugin. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to let me know in the comment section to this video. Hope you had a nice time watching this little EMBER walkthrough. Thanks for watching today, and I'll see you in the next video. My name is Matthias. Bye.